Okay, I'm just starting this slide, a moment. Well, yes, so we have seen Voyeur tools with Eva right now, and we actually think that, yeah, Voyeur tools is really a great tool to get started with digital methods because it's easy to use and it's understandable. And we also learned with students now that they really like to work with it because it's, yeah, it's just, you can get really nice results, and it's really easy to read the results. So, but we also know that sometimes researchers, they need more or have more individual questions or need some other methods or something where they can actually more interact with the tools. And therefore, I would like to present one other possibility to work with methods in a more coding environment using Python, especially Python libraries that exist. There exist a lot of NLP libraries out there, which digital humanities researchers can use. And yeah, Jupyter Notebook are just a very nice way to actually use those packages in an environment where they first can just like use the code, but also just like write about what they are doing and make it accessible for others. And especially my Binder, which is actually an environment or service, actually an online service that helps to build yeah, those interactive Jupyter notebooks with live code, which is nice. So for example, digital libraries can offer those Jupyter notebooks in a browser, and people can use it without actually install everything on their laptops and do everything locally, which can be very difficult. And it's actually a really difficult entry point sometimes when using code, that there's a lot to install, a lot of things that actually can make it quite hard to get started with it. But especially live code with my Binder sometimes can make it easier to use code, and you can also make it easier in connection with a platform, like Axel was showing us all the sort of things that someone can do with a specific platform, and especially also that the data sets that are being created can be exported. And so in connection with those platforms, it's nice to actually be able to use those exports you create with a specific platform, that you can just import them and then use ready build methods, or you can adapt them, or you can just use them as an example. And just to give a small glance at one of those notebooks, I actually created one. We are also using the example with the Spanish flu and for the English-speaking newspaper. And this notebook, I am sharing it, just a second. So you should have the link now. You can just click on it if you're interested in opening it and just like have a look at it. I will so too. And while it is loading, I will just shortly explain so what is it for. So basically this notebook was created to show how it is possible to import a data set that we exported from the platform. So from the NewsEye Demonstrator, how to do NLP methods, how to clean it, to tokenize, to lemmatize, how to create a page of part speaking tags. So how to just, for example, use nouns or just use verbs, and how to use n-grams over a specific time, and of course also how to create a topic modeling. So there are several steps in this notebook that can be just looked at and tried out. And I am switching now, and I hope you can see this too, or I have it open now too, as is it mine. Anyway, if it does not work, just say it loud or tell me, and I'm happy to assist. So basically, this is this MyBinder environment. You can see you have here your data, and the notebook is always like with this red symbol. This is the Jupyter notebook, the data, where the data is in. So if you want to use the Jupyter notebook, you can basically click on it. So double click on the Jupyter notebook, and it should come here as you see it here, and you should be able to see it. Before continuing it, I also would like to show, I prepared data for you, but this is data we exported from the NewsEye platform. If you just want to click on data, you can see there is a file. It is a CSV file, and you can see it's just tables with metadata and also the text. So you basically have exactly what you exported from the NewsEye platform. So this is, really convenient, because you can, on the one hand, use the dates, where if you want to use, have analysis over a specific time frame. And of course, you can access the full text. So this is basically the table we want to import to the Jupyter notebook. And therefore, I would just recommend I always do it like this. I just go to rename, and I will copy the title. So you can also just copy it here, but it's important that you copy this title here. And then going back to the Jupyter notebook. So this is just like explaining first some about the context, and also showing you like the final topic modeling results. But basically, the most important thing is to just like first get those code fields. I would call them code fields running. So this is basically the first task that is important. You just click on the field where the code is in. You can see this if the blue arrow is here beside. And if you are there, and just as you can see here, you need to click like this running button or play button, which is here. And basically you let the code run. So this is basically all the packages that are needed to do those methods. If it worked, you will have a 1 here. It can have any number. It's just like this was the first field, so it has number 1, but there's a number if it worked. And I am waiting a little bit to make sure that people can follow if you're trying. But please let me know, or just speak out loud if not. Otherwise, I will just continue to the next important field. This is basically now we have to import our collection, and I was giving here already an example how it actually should look like if it's correct. But you can see here, this is the code field we are working with. This is also the field where where the data needs to be imported. You can see this is accessing the data file. This is already there, but it needs the name of the file. This name can vary, so you can actually export any collection from the NewsEye platform and put it in there. So this is just one example, but you could basically really use any of them and do the same as we do right now. And I just copy what I did, I based what I copied before, and you can see it's basically the same then here. And paste it in, and that's all of it. you run it again by clicking on the running button, and it did run. So there nothing happened. You can just see a 2, but you can then actually make sure if everything worked. How you can do this is just like we created a data frame now. So we want to look at the data frame. It means you just put df in there, let it run again, and it actually will show you the table. So this is your imported content. And basically, these are the most important steps already. So if you managed to do this and you have come so far, there's nothing that could go wrong anymore for the rest of the notebook, basically. So I'm not getting any feedback that it did not work. So I just assume that it worked for you. So basically, the rest of the notebook, you can just like continue to run those files and to see what happens. So here, for example, we create a frequency graph. You just have a look at the data. So we have like 3 years, 1918, 1919, 1920, with our data set here, just to have like some sort of look at it. So what is in there? Basically, then we clean, tokenize, and stamp. That means like we remove the low punctuation, we lowercase the text, we cut the text to the basic form of a word. So that we cut the words to their basic forms. We also remove stop words. We can also remove words that we want to remove extra. And this is basically this kind of step. You can just also run it. And if you want to see how it looks, you can just copy. So we created now the data frame that's tokenized. So you can basically just copy this. And you can, again, look at the words that have been created. So we have now not like the whole text. We have single words that have been cleaned and stamped. And then in the end, we want to know, not in the end, but we also want to create like the n-grams. And we want to only use specific type of words, for example, nouns or adjective. So I just also let this run. And here we can also decide like what kind of words we want to use. I have noun, adjective, adverb here. If I also want to have a verb, I just type in verb, always in brackets, and can let it run again. So basically, this is then the first analysis. It's just like it runs a little bit. So here we are doing the bigrams. We are training the bigrams. And actually, we want to have word clouds of those bigrams for all the 3 years. So we have like 1918 here, 19 and 20. So we want to know like what kind of bigrams were important in 1918, 1919 and 20. So we can actually compare them. It is still running as long as the star is here, so it can take a little bit because it needs to create those images. So as you can see, now we have like these word clouds, and we can actually see what kind of word combinations were important like for 1918. So we have here like close school, a gray pot, a small dose. So it needs to be checked, of course, what is in there, but it's already kind of interesting. We have dev reports, measures taken. New talk, I guess this is New York, but it's written quite often as talk. But you can already see, okay, there like influenza has been very present. There has been many deaths. There has been closer measures in 1918. Then you go further to 1919. You see it already changed a little bit. So we still have death reports and death influenza, but it's yeah, less about like measures, as you can see here. There was an attack grip. This, of course, also needs to be checked. Return work, so probably people return to work, and then in 1920, you can already see there is things about health and public health, and less about death. And it seems like the discourse already seems to fade into actually different kind of discourses. So this is just like one kind of analysis that can be taken. And another one is topic modeling. It's also just like about training the code always the same way. And also here there's like a specific way to actually visualize it. There are several ways to visualize topic modeling. So here we just train 10 topics and see what happens. So then here actually this is a kind of visualization for topic modeling. I like especially those graphs because they show not only how important one word is for this specific topic, but also how important this word is like in general. So here the most common word in general would be make, a verb, of course, but it's not the most important word in this topic. Here it's about women actually. Yeah, and all those methods actually, how did we use them? We actually use those methods especially to get to know a collection better, to get an insight, maybe specific entry points for further qualitative analysis. This is the actually most important thing, rather with using Boolean tools or using like specific methods like those, it's always or often like getting to know a corpus, to actually refine a corpus, to just to prepare the corpus even better for the further qualitative analysis you want to do, to just actually kind of get, along with this big data that would be just too big to just read all of them. So here we don't have so many articles, it's a slower collection, but sometimes collections are really big, and this can be a really good, entry step. And here I just have like, if someone is interested to do some more like, tasks. And of course, in the end, it's also possible to just look into the text. For example, if you want to know when is it talked about children, then you could look at, okay, here are the texts where children are in, just sort of, if there are interesting things that you find looking into the text. This was just like a short, introduction to what can be used. Done with such notebooks, as I said, like any kind of corpus could be imported in here. It can be a help to just get along with specific methods as well. And we've used that in our method, in our project, and it worked quite well. And I guess I will end the workshop with this. I'm not sure if anyone will have final words. Or of course, if there are any questions, please, you're welcome to ask them in any form.